Thanks for joining me in Talking Over Old Times. This is Don Trosper, Public History Manager for the Olympia Tumwater Foundation. In a previous installment, we discovered that one of the main reasons the Michael T. Simmons party left Missouri on the Oregon Trail was that their close friend George Bush was of mixed race, or part black. The racial bigotry was becoming more and more pronounced for him and his white wife Isabella in the States. And since their small group of friends and neighbors so dearly loved that family, that became a major factor in the decision to brave the hazardous 8-month trip through the wilderness. The trip began in May from St. Joseph, one of the many jumping-off points for the famous trail. They expected a hot, dry trip through the Great Plains, but instead they got drenching downpours and flooding rivers. The ox-drawn wagons on a good day averaged 10 miles. They passed all the landmarks like Chimney Rock, Scotts Bluff, Fort Laramie, and South Pass. And once through the Rockies, they trekked through Fort Bridger, Soda Springs, Fort Hall, and followed the Snake River. They then went up and over the Blue Mountains to the mighty Columbia River. From there, the group rafted downstream to the Dalles. There, they paused to wait for their scouts to report about the beautiful Willamette Valley, their goal. They were exhausted, clothes turning to rags, and they were quite hungry, but being so near the end, they were also hopeful. And that sense of hope turned to agony when the scout reported back that the American Provisional Government on the south side of the Columbia, the American side, had adopted an ordinance that excluded any person of color from settling there. They were forced to make a serious decision. So finally, Colonel Simmons approached the man in charge of the Hudson's Bay Company at Fort Vancouver, Dr. McLaughlin, who allowed them to work for them on the northern British side of the river that first winter, splitting cedar shakes. Dr. McLaughlin was impressed and allowed them to explore north that next spring to Puget Sound. After exploring the southern sound in native canoes, Simmons and his group determined that the lower falls of the Deschutes River was the ideal place to build a new town. The water power would support industry, and the rich prairie and forest land surrounding the tip of the sound was very inviting. The men went back south to their families and obtained a letter of reference from Dr. McLaughlin to Dr. Tolmie at Fort Nisqually. They then packed everything onto flatboats and headed down the Columbia to the Cowlitz, and then they transferred to canoes to go upstream to Cowlitz Landing. From there, it was a grueling 2.5 weeks of slashing a trail through 58 miles of virgin forest, muddy swamps, and all in the cold, drenching rain of October. Mrs. Elizabeth Simmons said that it was the most trying time of her whole life. Upon arrival at the Butt Inlet, they built a communal log cabin, and with the help of local Indians and the British at Fort Nisqually, they established Newmarket, the town we now know as Tumwater.